Let's talk about Love is Blind season 10 because this is the first time in a couple of years that I've been able to make it through the pod episodes. So thank you, Netflix, for giving us an interesting season thus far. This season is focused on Ohio. I think the whole state, not a particular city, which that's kind of weird to me. And I think we're already seeing some issues with people living in different cities of Ohio. Thus far, Netflix has dropped the first 6 episodes. We end episode 6 with the couples who are engaged. 6 out of 7 go to Mexico. Vic and Christine end up going to California because Netflix has said that they didn't have the budget for 7 couples. Half of me says I could see that because Netflix has not done well with couples getting engaged recently. So I wouldn't be shocked if Netflix was not planning to have 7 engaged couples. At the same time, it's like Netflix, you could have found the money somewhere. Production could have figured out the money situation somehow. I do wonder if they did not invite Christine and Vic in particular, because if they had to choose, why they choose them? I could see them not choosing Vic and Christine because thus far there doesn't seem to be any drama. And I also would bet that they didn't have any other people in the pods they were truly interested in. If I'm the production team, I want people in Mexico that are going to give me mess and drama like Brie. You want people that had past prior connections that felt strong. So you get this moment of they meet the other people and there's some interest or attraction there. If Vic and Christine did not have other people in the pods they liked, I could see why Netflix chose them because they're not going to bring any drama of this potential like love triangle. Vic and Christine, I have to admit, I have a bias. I have this bias and this assumption and stereotype in mind. Vic is a very attractive Black man. He is educated. He's accomplished. He seems cultured. He seems mature. So when I see him on Love is Blind, I'm like, why are you here? In my head, think Vic does not need a TV show to meet a great woman. So I can admit that I have this level of skepticism that is not fair to Vic, but I am just like, I don't know. I don't trust it yet fully. I'm waiting for the other shoe to drop, unfortunately, and maybe it never does. I'd love if it doesn't. But I'm a little suspicious. I am looking forward to seeing more of them when they're back in Ohio. We didn't get to see a lot of them in the pods or their conversations. And obviously we're not seeing them with the rest of the couples in Mexico. But I have my eye on Vic. I'm going to just say that. I got my eye on him. Speaking of love triangles, unfortunately, the 2 Black girls who got the most screen time, Tyler and Kia, had a love triangle with Kevan. Now, listen, there is an element of Love is Blind that I think as a viewer would be interesting if we also could not see them. It's hard watching this show when the contestants can't see each other, but we can because we do make judgments. I think Kia and Tyler are beautiful. Kevan, I don't know if he would grab their attention on a regular night out at the bar. So it was interesting to see this man who, by his own admission, is doing just okay in life, have 2 women who seem to have great careers and who are very attractive, vying for his attention. An element of Love is Blind that I don't love, that I feel is inauthentic, that we saw with Kevan, Tyler, and Kia, was this competition. When you're dating someone, sometimes you may know that they're dating someone else, but you're normally not in this confined space with the other people that the person you like is dating. And the show does prompt a lot more competition between the contestants than what you would normally see in a regular dating environment. And I do always question if the competition makes people like the other people more. I do think that's true with Kia and Tyler. I believe them seeing that Kevan had other options, one, felt like validation, because sometimes you want something because someone else has it, because it makes you feel like that thing or person is more worthy. I do think that played a role with Tyler and Kia. The other thing is if you're competitive, you like to win, and getting the guy or getting the girl can feed this need or hunger that you have to win. I definitely believe that was an element with Kia and Tyler's behavior. I do believe they both were competing. I've seen some comments where people are saying only Tyler was competing. I felt like Kia was also competing. I felt like they both had this weird catty dynamic where they figured out that Kevan was dating the other person, where they were comparing themselves and they also were trying to one up the other person. So that part feels very inauthentic about Love is Blind. We know the whole show is inauthentic. None of this is normal behavior, but this competition feels like it is intensified in this setting. Tyler, I don't ever want to come on here and read another woman, especially another Black woman. I understand her desire to have a husband and be in a relationship, but I was really thrown off when we're introduced to her and she's talking about how much she's willing to sacrifice and give up for marriage. When I think about love and marriage, I don't instantly think of what I want to sacrifice and give up. Yes, that's a part of a long-term relationship. However, when I'm thinking about the early stages, the first year of commitment, I'm not instantly thinking about how I'll pack up my life and move and quit my job. I'm just not thinking of all the sacrifices. So I find it interesting, but also concerning that that is where her head goes when she thinks about love. She feels that she shows her commitment through sacrifice. I believe you can show your commitment to someone in a relationship and it's not through sacrifice. There's other ways to do it, but I found it concerning yet telling that that is how she articulates her commitment and showcases it. I definitely judged her too for that. But why any modern woman, she's a millennial, why she would ever have this thing about I'll give up everything for you? Because you don't see the men saying that. Kevan wasn't saying he gonna give up his Chevy Cruze for her. It just felt so odd to me. And for a woman like Tyler, who was highly accomplished from everything that she says, she's a beautiful woman. It just felt so odd that she's like, I'll give up everything for a husband. Girl, you don't have to do that. So Tyler, she lost me there. I'm gonna just keep it real. She lost me from that moment where I already was like, I don't really know if I'm gonna rock with her like this. And then Tyler is an example of someone who has a desire for a relationship, but maybe she's not ready. Tyler clearly has anxiety about relationships. Obviously, her intuition picked up on the fact that Kevan did not like her as much as she liked him. He wasn't committed to her. I think he wasn't committed to either one. I don't think he liked Kia or Tyler enough, hence the issue. If he liked one more than the other, he could have chose. I think he's indecisive, but I think ultimately his feelings for neither one was strong enough. But when it comes to Tyler, she clearly has some anxiety when it comes to relationships. It did seem like she was obviously seeking Kevan's validation and Kevan choosing her. And the first time she left was crazy. And then doing the redo, I was like, girl, stand in it, make a decision, commit somewhere. But when she left the second time, I didn't think as much about it until I saw the way that Kia ended things with Kevan. And there was such a stark contrast between how Kia had a conversation with Kevan and very clearly articulated, this isn't for me. Here are the issues that I have. I wish you well. It wasn't that Tyler should have wished Kevan well, but it just said a lot to me about her emotional maturity that she ghosted, that she could not even go for that last date and say, hey, this isn't for me. I'm not interested. It just shows that she's not fully ready on an emotional and mental level for a marriage because she couldn't handle having that conversation either. In the end, I am so happy that Kia and Tyler chose themselves. They had me going for a minute. I really could not believe that one of these women was going to commit to Kevan after we see the way he was so wishy-washy about both of them. So I was really happy that both of them stood on business to an extent and said, this is not for me. I wish you well, because Kevan did not want to be with either one of them. And he really didn't deserve either one of them if we're keeping it a buck. The other person besides Tyler who needs therapy on this show is Emma. Emma needs to be on a therapist's couch, not in the pods. That is my immediate thought after watching her in the first few episodes. It is clear that she still has a lot of unresolved trauma and feelings about, one, being adopted into a different race family, being raised in a white environment, being maybe one of the only girls of color. That experience, which I'm sure was traumatizing, in addition to the way that she looks because of her condition and what happened with her arm. The premise of Love is Blind, which we know at this point love is not blind, but the premise is that you leave physical attraction at the door and it is beneficial for both sides. You as a person who's choosing, you're not focused on looks, but also as a person, quote unquote, being chose, this person likes you for you and your looks doesn't matter. We know that's not really true, but let's go with it. So the thing about Emma coming into the pods is she still seemed to have insecurities about her looks. And I think they're layered. I think they came from her physical disability. And then it also comes from her race. I do believe she was raised in a white culture. And as an Asian woman, I bet she grew up feeling very othered. And she's bringing all of that into the pods. And Emma, as a 27-year-old, is another example of why this show does better when they go older, because you have more time to get over that stuff. I sympathize with her and the way that she grew up and she did not feel attractive. I totally am aligned with that. I had a similar experience in high school. But I have worked through that and I'm not carrying that with me. Emma, as a 27-year-old, is 9 years removed from high school and she's still carrying around these feelings about high school and how she was treated and how she wasn't liked. And at this point, I would expect her to be over that. She talks about going to college and having a much better experience with men. She is an attractive woman, and I'm sure there's many men that think she's attractive, but I can tell she's still carrying all of that emotional baggage. And it seems like she still struggles with feeling good enough. She still struggles with the need to be validated, and her insecurities are loud. They are screaming. And then when you add in on top the race thing. If I was on Love is Blind, I would never go. But let's say in a magical world I would want men to know that I was black. I have dated pretty much every race of man at this point. I want the man to know, because if there's a man out there that doesn't want to date me because I'm not white, I want him to dismiss himself. I do not want any man to have this perception of me in the pods that I'm white. So I'm always very shocked when people get in the pods and it's always a person that is not white. They don't want to reveal their race. They don't want to give it away. How is giving away my race telling you how I look? Unless you are not attracted to black women or Asian women, that should not impact your perception of my level of attractiveness unless you hold a bias against my race. So for me, I would not go in telling people, hey, I'm black, but I would not conceal it if it came up naturally in conversation. I also don't know how I could hide the fact that I'm black. I think I sound black. I talk about my experiences as being a black woman. I don't think I could be in the pods and be close to someone and they would not know. I just think the way that I am, my personality, the things that interest me, my values, being black would come up at some point. So the idea of intentionally concealing, that's weird to me. I think it's a red flag. We've seen this before on Love is Blind. And again, it's always a person who is not white. And the last time I recall, the last season I was fully invested in was the DC season. We had another Asian woman who did the same thing, who did not want the men she was dating to know she was Asian. I think she took much more time to tell people. I think it was Taylor. I just think it's weird when you add in the fact again that it seems like she grew up in a white culture. She was adopted by a white family. It doesn't seem like it's coming from a place of empowerment. It doesn't seem like she has an intellectual reason for hiding it. It seems like it's her insecurity and she does not want the guys to know for fear that they'll reject her. But that's what you want. If he doesn't want to date an Asian girl, you want him to reject you so you can move on because you're going to eventually meet. I don't understand this idea of let me hide my race. I don't understand how people think that's going to work out in the end. But for Emma, I get it for her because all Emma wants is to be chosen. That's it. Emma just wants to be chosen. She was leaving here with something because when she told, I think it was Mike who she ended up with, when she told Mike that her number 2 dumped her when it was really her number 1, crazy to me. Because one, why are you lying? You didn't have to tell him the ranking. She could have just said another guy that I had a connection with ended things and I'm sad. She didn't have to tell the other guy the ranking. It was pointless. To me, it just shows, again, her level of insecurity. And a lot of times insecurities will lead you to be deceitful, which isn't talked about enough. And I feel like in that moment, because she just got rejected, she was looking for her next potential guy to commit to her. And she was lying to him saying, oh, he was my number 2 to get that validation and commitment out of him. But she was being very deceitful about it. Last thing is her and the no kids thing. I fully respect Emma's choice that she does not want children, but I don't think she respects it herself. She doesn't seem to be committed to it. She's giving men false hope. I don't believe you're ready to get married if you don't know if you want children or not. You can date, you can be in a committed relationship, but being at the point of marriage, I think you owe it to yourself and your partner to know what you want. And the fact that she's still communicating, oh, I'm unsure, I'm a soft no, is like, girl, if you don't know, then take time to figure it out. She doesn't need to know now. She's 27, but you're on this reality show saying I'm ready for marriage. And I don't think she's ready for marriage because she can't give Mike a straight answer. I think they both made poor decisions in choosing each other. Mike is very set on having children. Emma seems less committed. How is this going to work out in 5 years? It just seems like they're both hoping for the best, and hope is not a strategy. The racial politics of this season is very interesting to me. And the race thing with Devonta and Brittany, we got to unpack this because we're talking a lot about Devonta's issues, which are very obvious, but I want to start with talking about Brittany first. So Brittany is very quick to say she's Latina. Brittany says her mother is Colombian, her mother was adopted by a white family, and her dad is black. I didn't even know Brittany was half black until maybe episode 6 when she articulated it because she kept communicating about being a Latina. And I find it odd that she never says biracial, mixed, Afro-Latina. All she does is she claims the Latina side. She doesn't say anything about her dad being absent, not in her life. So I'm assuming that she knows her dad who's black and she knows her dad's black family. It's weird that she doesn't seem to really claim the black side the way she claims the Latina side because I do believe in America, culture is passed down through the mother. Brittany's mother is Colombian, but Brittany's mother was adopted into a white family. So it makes me think about her mother's side. We don't know if she knows any of her Colombian relatives. I'm assuming that her dad's side is black, her mom's side is white. So it's interesting and surprising how much she identifies with being Latina. She certainly looks Latina, but I would assume she's not that close to Latina culture because her mom was adopted into a white family. So the race thing makes me even more questionable. The other thing about Brittany, the comment she made about sounding white was kind of odd to me. That was a little weird. It's just like, I believe I sound black. I think if you talk to me on the phone, you're a black woman. But to be a woman who's not white and to say at your big age of 32, I sound white was very weird. Saying that she assumes he thought she was white because how she sounds, it was weird to me. It was very odd. The second thing is, she said her mom thought about naming her Liliana, but she would have went by Lily. And I was like, why would you take a ethnic name and make it more white and Americanized? It was just weird to me. If your mom named you Liliana, you would have wanted your nickname and your name you go by to be Lily? I don't know. It's weird. So I got my eye on Brittany. I just got my eye on her. The things I'm seeing when it comes to her talking about race in this sort of non-direct way, it's raising some flags for me. She also in the pods talked about loving guys with green or blue eyes. Again, I don't know. I'm side-eyeing her a little bit. And sometimes I do think we are attracted to people that we have these unseen similarities. So we know Devonta has issues with race. I'm just wondering if Brittany is the same. Brittany is also a biracial woman. I question, does she have issues with her blackness? Is she comfortable being black? Does she view herself as half black? I don't know. To be determined. But that is something for the next few episodes that I would like to see more of so we get a better understanding. Now, obviously, Devonta is a hot mess. Devonta has dehumanized Brittany from the moment he saw her and said he's never dated women of color. I've never dated something like that. He's not even referring to her as a person. He's referring to her as an object, which shows exactly where his head is at. It's interesting to me that he says like he never envisioned himself with a woman like Brittany. Going back to my earlier point, I do believe culture is passed down through the mothers typically. In Devonta, from what we know, his mother is white. So I wouldn't be shocked if he closely identifies with white culture, hence why he dates only white women. Because the fact that he said he's never dated a woman of color stood out to me because he didn't say Latina or black or biracial. Woman of color. You never dated an Asian woman either. You've literally only dated white women. It's shocking to me. I guess as a fellow millennial, I'm taken aback that you've only dated white women, despite the fact that you are clearly a man of color. You are biracial. I'm sure he has went through life with people perceiving him to be non-white. It's just weird to me. Devonta is also very disengaged. He is trying to gaslight Brittany and not be honest about his feelings. It's clear he is checked out and he's not interested. Brittany's intuition is screaming at her, and I'm happy that she's listening. I'm happy that she's addressing it. I love the fact that she's saying to him, I need more physical touch from you. I'm not feeling like you're engaged with me. You're interested in me. I love that she's saying that. And just like we've seen in the past, when the men are not attracted to the women's intuition kicks in, but the men will deny. And I'm sure Devonta will eventually admit to her he's not attracted to her. But for the next few weeks, I'm sure he's going to lie to her and keep up this facade. And I hope in the end that Brittany chooses herself and leaves. I hope she recognizes he's not checking the boxes for me and I don't need this anymore. And I do hate that Brittany is like, I will break my celibacy for you if that's what you need to feel closer. And then I don't even think Devonta took her up on their offer, which is crazy. But she's already making sacrifices. She's already stretching her boundaries. She's already doing things before she's ready to do them to make the relationship work, which is always a red flag of this ain't it. This isn't a good fit if I have to already sacrifice things just to make you happy and to appease you. Brittany is very attractive, and I would bet this is the first time Brittany has dated a man that was not attracted to her. I'm sure Brittany has many men who are attracted to her, and that's probably been her experience her whole life. It does feel like she doesn't know how to navigate this because she's not used to it. She's not used to a man not wanting to touch her and be close to her. And keep it a buck, I wouldn't be shocked if Brittany has a history of dating men of color who typically are very attracted to her, whether that's a Latino man or a black man or a biracial man. I'm sure Brittany does very well in the dating market with men of color. And I'm sure she assumed Devonta, because of his name, was a man of color and thought, oh, he'll be attracted to me. And he wasn't. And I think that also is throwing her for a loop because she's not used to that. Again, there's a racial element. I do think Brittany is actually truly very attractive. But I do think she's surprised that a man named Devonta is not attracted to her. But when it comes to Brittany and Devonta, I think they should probably just swap with Alex and Ashley, because it's clear that Alex wants Brittany, and I'm sure Devonta would prefer to be with a blonde white woman like Ashley. And we know Alex is not as attracted to Ashley. We know Devonta don't want Brittany. So let those two just swap, because it seems like the attractiveness would be better aligned there. So I do wonder if Alex and Brittany had a connection in the pods that we did not see, because Alex's conversation with Brittany came out of left field to me. It was clear he was putting out feelers. He was trying to see, is Brittany with it? Is Brittany interested? And it was extremely disrespectful to be in quote unquote engaged. You're going to this other woman basically saying how you prefer her looks over the other woman. The whole thing was icky. It's clear that Alex is trying to get with Brittany. I cannot believe this man. See, this is how men will do you. This man is on a quote unquote honeymoon vacation setup with his new fiance. He been engaged less than a week, and he's already talking to Brittany, and he's putting out feelers. All he was trying to do was figure out, is Brittany with it? Is Brittany down? Is Brittany interested? I wouldn't be shocked either if Alex either picked up on the fact that Devonta's not interested, or there was some conversation or tea spilled that Devonta admits the attraction's not there. I don't think he came to Brittany without some knowledge or intuition. I don't think this came out the blue. I think he has some feelers or a sense that Devonta and Brittany's relationship is vulnerable, and he's trying to move in there. My thing with Alex is, one, he's on a hamster wheel. He talks about the same things all the time. He talks about moving out of Ohio. He can get any job in the world. He can get a job in 2 or 3 months. He can do anything. He's a failed soccer star. He keeps saying the same things over and over again. There's no substance. He hasn't given us anything new. He's either talking about that or how his daddy wasn't in his life. Bro, I've heard these stories now 3 times. I don't need to hear them anymore. But the other thing is, why is he so pressed about getting out of Ohio? This whole show was Love is Blind Ohio. Why'd you come on this show if you don't want to live here? See, that's the thing that irritates me. You're already trying to change the terms of our relationship. I came on the show thinking I'll meet a man that at least lives in my state. You live in my state, but you're already trying to move to Florida. What are you doing? Why are you already asking this woman you just met to make this huge lifestyle change just because you want to be somewhere else? He shouldn't have been on the show if he didn't want to stay in Ohio. That's not fair to whoever he couples up with. And when Alex and Ashley talked in episode 6 and Ashley was saying, I'm nervous, that's a reasonable response to the situation. Alex wasn't nervous because Alex is not committed. He ain't nervous about nothing. He's not nervous about getting married. He's not nervous about this relationship because Alex got one foot out the door. You're not nervous when you don't see a future. There's nothing to be nervous about. He already knows it's going to end with Ashley because he's going to end it, or he's going to act so bad that Ashley ends it with him. Him not being nervous to me is a red flag, because it's normal to be nervous. Anytime you're getting married, it's normal to be nervous. But it's especially normal if you're committed to marrying essentially a stranger. Him not being nervous to me just says, what's there to be nervous about? I'm not going through with this. It's very clear that Bree does not want to be with her man, Connor, and she got her eyes on Chris. I can't believe that she was so pressed about, oh, everybody in the pods, they're not acting like we had these deep connections. I wasn't expecting this response. It's a few things. One, she still wants Chris. She's very interested in him, maybe more so now that she's seen him. And I think she was expecting Chris to be pressed about her, and she's disappointed and also confused. I think she really wanted to talk to Chris because she was expecting more validation from him in terms of finding her attractive or still having somewhat of an emotional connection. And now that she's not getting it, she seems like fixated on it. I don't know how she would have responded if Chris seemed to still have an interest in her. I don't know fully if it's because she's not that committed to Connor and likes Chris more, or if it's rejection sensitivity coming up where she feels like, oh, Chris ain't even worrying about me. But I knew she was full of it when she was talking about, oh, everybody's being so surface level. Bree is one of the most surface level people in there. She's the type of girl that all she does is hoot and holler. It's always a joke. It's always sarcasm. It's always fooling around with the boys. Like, nothing about her gives seriousness. Nothing about her gives deep. So her talking about she wants to get deeper and why are people acting fake was weird to me, because I'm like, girl, that's your whole personality. So I knew it wasn't about that. She was lying. It was really just about the fact that Chris was not responding to her the way that she expected him to respond, and that was throwing her for a loop. It does seem like from the previews, she gonna be messy still with Chris. Maybe her and Connor break up, but I think Connor is peeping Bree and is recognizing this is weird. I don't get why you're so focused on this guy, to the point that she's like, I need a round 3. You need to talk to him again about what? Because then when we see her talk to Chris, it's surface level. It's still not about anything. Like, she talking about ice plunges. What do you need to talk to this man about so much? Because y'all had a deep relationship, but we're not seeing the depth there. I'm not seeing anything deep. You had your chance to talk to this man already twice. What else do you need, Bree? I'm confused. So I don't think she cares that much about the other guys in the pod. I think it was that she cared about Chris and his reaction. And she's just shocked that she didn't get the reaction that she expected, which is one where he was pressed about her or he was still interested in her. I love the fact that Chris came in there and has moved on emotionally, and he's not treating her any different than the other women. And that was the other thing. I think she expected Chris to give her a different level of warmth and treatment versus everyone else. Because you notice she was trying to tell Connor, oh, you're going to be hanging out with them when we get back in Ohio. Girl, why would we be hanging out with them? That's your past connection. It's weird. Why can't you let it go? So I got my eye on Bree. Bree is just as low down as Alex. Put them in the same boat, because both of them are going behind their fiance's back and being shady. And I don't think it's going to work out well. Something I found interesting about this season is we see 2 men who are overweight. We see Jordan and Devonta, who are men who are on the larger side. And we see this trope a lot with women, where Love is Blind will cast women who are bigger than a size 10. And there's this constant conversation in the pods, and even sometimes after the pods, about their body. What we see with the women is either they are talking about it a lot, where maybe this is anxiety they have about their body size, or the producers are asking them questions and prodding them to talk about their body. I think both come into play. What we're seeing is an edited TV show. The things that they say in their confessionals are responses to questions. So I do think producers ask the women who are on the thicker side often about their body and how do you feel about it and what do you think about how the person responds? Do you have any nerves? So we end up getting these storylines. So I find it interesting that we haven't got that storyline with Jordan and Devonta, especially because Amber made a negative comment about fat guys. We also see Brittany make a comment later about Devonta at the engagement saying, well, we all get fat eventually. So it does seem like you have 2 women who are connected to these larger men who have acknowledged the size, or they've acknowledged maybe a discomfort with larger men. But I don't see the men having any anxiety about their size. And I don't know if it's because the men don't have anxiety or if the producers are not making it a storyline. But I feel like when it's reversed and it's women, it's exploited. The women can't escape this conversation about their bodies. And we always get the women presented in this way where they're insecure about their size. And that's partially why they're on Love is Blind. So I'm very curious about your thoughts about this, if anyone else has noticed. But I just find it so intriguing that if you had 2 women who are Jordan and Devonta's size, I feel like their size would be more of a conversation on this show than it has been when the 2 men are on the larger size. Even when you have someone like Amber, who at some point expressed not being interested in a fat guy. I do think men and women go through life differently when they're fat or overweight. The way women are treated when they're overweight is very different. And the acceptable standard for weight is so much higher for men. I would bet a lot of people may look at Devonta and think, oh, he's not overweight, he's husky. Whereas if a woman was his equivalent size, society would say she's fat. So I do wonder if those 2 men don't have as many insecurities about their body because they're men and they are allowed a lot more grace when it comes to their size. I think Emma and Mike are going to get married because Emma is pressed about getting married. I think Jess, the doctor with Chris, I think they'll get married. Devonta and Brittany, no. Bree and Connor, no. I don't see them working out. And then Ashley and Alex, no, because he don't want to be with her. If you're like me and you have not really watched a full season of Love is Blind in years, this is a good season. I actually made it through the pods. The last season I watched fully was the DC season, partially because I used to live in DC and we had Tyler and his baby mama and that messiness. So I was very engaged. But the last 2 seasons, like Denver and Minnesota, they were bland. I didn't watch them. But this season has actually been quite good. I'm enjoying it. The fact that the first 6 episodes, I think Netflix did much better with the timing. I think the Minnesota season had too much pod. It was too many pod episodes and it was super dry. This season, I think because they have more engaged couples, they have more material. So we didn't spend as much time on the pods. The pods were 5 episodes and it just wasn't as boring as prior seasons. Thank you for watching my review of the Love is Blind season 10, the first 6 episodes. I have enjoyed these 6 episodes. Fingers crossed that the rest of the season is just as enjoyable. If you enjoyed this video, please subscribe to me and check my page for other videos. And as well, you can follow me on TikTok. I do post more daily videos there focused on reality TV.